All right, it is just a little bit after 5 o'clock, 5:05 on Tuesday, October 17th. I'm going to call this special meeting of the Board of Trustees of Bernie Independent School District to order and establish our quorum. We have Maritza Gonzalez Cooper, Garrett Wilson, myself, Carlin Fryer, Rich Senna, Christy Schmidt, and Joe Tidwell. Jessica Davila will be here momentarily. We do need to approve the agenda, and before we have a motion to do that, Butch with TASB has asked that we move item B in open session number 3 to item B in open session item 5 instead. I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right. Agenda is approved as amended. We have no visitor comments. So at this point in time, we will be able to go into closed session pursuant to Texas Government Code 551.074, deliberation regarding matters related to employment, appointments, resignations, terminations, retirements, and reassignments, specifically to discuss the applications for our superintendent position. It is 5:07, and we will go into closed session. It is 7:30, actually 7:30 on the dot. We're going to come out of closed session. We still have a full quorum, and it is 7:30. The next item on the agenda is to reconvene an open session and consider action regarding items discussed in closed session. First of those items would be to approve the number of applicants to be interviewed. I would entertain a motion. I have a motion. And I have second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right. And the next item would be discussion with TASB consultant regarding the superintendent search process. Mr. Felker.
Okay. So going back to that discussion, if you not having it in here, just need to let us know. Candidates know. And we don't. Wherever it is, the first thing is that candidates come in, Carlin, you'll welcome them and seated at the table. Each candidate, it doesn't appear to be opened or not. Okay, you don't know if it was or not. I've seen it, so just it's always so. Remember, folks, I told you this is not my first. So there's a reason behind it. So anyway, once they come in, you will have them wherever they sit. And at that point, you will thank them for coming, and then you will say, this time the board is going to introduce themselves to you. Okay? And you can go around the room and start introducing yourself and what you do. Now remember, once he starts, let's say with Joe, clock starts ticking. So we want to make sure that we don't go over and over what we're doing as a board member. We just want to keep that short. And so we can. And after that, then you're going to turn, Carlin, to the candidate and say, again, thanks for coming. We'd like for you to share a little bit about yourself, maybe was on or is not on your resume. They're going to share things with you that you may or may not ask them legally, okay? So you'll need to make sure you take really good notes at that point, okay? So that way you'll have that when you go back and recall this information and remember what he or she said in that part. And after they've shared their information, then Carlin's going to say, at this time, the board is going to ask you a set of questions. And then you'll start with your first question. Joe will ask his first question all the way around. Second question, all the way around. Third question, all the way around. 21 questions. Once that happens, then Carlin's going to turn to the candidate and we have finished with our questions. Do you have any questions for? And Carlin, you can ask this, you can answer this or do this any way that you want to. You can respond to the question, or you can say, is there a board member that would like to respond to that question, however your protocol is. So let's just say Carlin says, is there a board member? And Christie says, I'll address that. Okay? Whatever Christie says, that's what we're going with. Okay, we're not going with, well, you know, I don't, that. We don't, this is not a time for discussion. Okay? This is, Christie said, that's it. Whether you like it or whether you don't, decide the. Then you'll, if they ask another question, which they probably will, the same format. Be mindful also that, you know, you're, at that point, you're coming down toward the end. Then the last question that you're going to ask the candidate is, what salary range would you be expecting to name here as superintendent? I'm going to give you, write those numbers down. At that point, that ends the interview. Carlin, you'll thank you for coming. You'll walk them to the exit door, and off they go. Okay? If yes, they can. I don't like that because this is a business. It should be addressed as business. And sometimes, you know, we've heard just because say, just pay me $1 more than you paid the last person. You know, that is, to me, is so elementary. It's, you know, that would person with whether he or she interviewed well, and wipe them out. That's not an answer. So, you know, don't be surprised if you do get that. But I prefer them to give you a range of what they're literally expecting. Because when we get, if they make it to the second round, they're going to get pinned down about, okay, what is the number you're looking at? Okay? And if Carlin calls me and says, hey, this person we're going to bring back, but they didn't give us much of a thing, and I'm going to hammer on that candidate. So I can bet you that they will give you a figure when second time. But that's really safe for the second. And the reason for that is because 3 of these folks aren't coming back. And because it really won't matter what they say, because you really want to compare what salary range they're looking at. When they come back the second time, they're going to give you, this is my package. It's the benefits, like that. That's all 3 will give you that. So that's how the interview goes. Okay, now, one other thing that you need to be aware of, if Rich asks his question and the candidate says, explain that, he's going to say no. Explanation is a stall tactic. Candidate, what are you really trying to get out of it? Explaining is done. Well, they, with their A game, we hope they are, and so you need to look and make sure you're looking at the nonverbal as well as the verbal that you're getting. Okay, so if there's something that's annoying to you now, it very well be annoying to you for to hire as your new superintendent. Okay? So you need to look, watch how that goes. You know, if you get if the candidate you ask a question to responds and starts, it never makes direct eye contact, well, chances are that's going to happen, you know, later on. And so you want to look at those types of things if they respond to you. Because we really, when we have our mock interview workshop, we really hammer them on eye contact board. You know, tell the board, not just, don't talk to the person that asked the question, talk to the whole board. Right? Don't just, you know, focus in on one. That's real easy to do. just focus in on that person that just asked a question, but, address the entire board. 'Cause they're all listening to how you respond. So also, see how they answer the questions and they articulate a good. Or does it take them a while to land the plane? They just keep circling the field, wondering when are we going to get this down. Now, you might want to have a timekeeper. Harlan, it's up to you. But if you do, I would suggest whoever your timekeeper is, if you get into like question 16 or 17, you have 10 minutes left in the interview. At the appropriate time, whoever is that person to speak up and say, Mr. President, board members, we have 10 minutes remaining in the interview. Okay? That way it gives everybody an alert that we're getting close and we're only on question 17. We may or may not get through. And if they run out of time, that's on them, because they know how much time they have. Whatever time you have, you make sure that you save a minute for that last question you're going to ask about. So that they don't get to ask any questions, that's too bad. You know the time. They might try to get their pitch in during when they're asking you questions. So that might be their pitch time. Generally, no pitch. Remember, you're interviewing 6. Have a saying: don't fall in love on the first date. So sure that if you still love them on the first round, you'll still love them on the second round. Okay? So we want to make sure that we get second. What I would recommend that you do on on the night of Thursday, the 26th, you're interviewing the 24th, 25th, and 26th week. Night of the 26th, now, this is only a suggestion. You finish last interview, you might keep the board in session and say, okay, put all the names on the board, who's your 3, who's your 3, who's your 3, and then narrow down to who your group's coming back. The reason we encourage boards to do that because it's fresh on your mind at that point. Wherever now you can wait till I come back the following week and meet with you, but it seems to be more advantageous to you to do it then rather than wait a week. But that's what I would recommend. Okay? And then if you do that, then you can call me the next morning and say, call me or text me and say, here are our 3 we'd like back second round. And then I will make all that. The notices will go out, and this will be called that you selected this morning. Notice will go out to them or schedule the interview. They get an email, schedule goes out at the same time, all of them. And then it's that first who gets wherever they want. It kind of rolls down there. Once that's completed, Austin will be sending you a schedule of who's coming when. Remember, all this is still in confidence. That list doesn't get anywhere. But it just helps you to know. Also, the candidates that are inside the system that you saw the candidates with, candidates that you did not select go away. Candidates that you did select will remain in there. So if you want to go back in or studying on them, you can do that. Make sense? Okay. I think that's it. Miss anything? We've been through this before, so miss anything?
I don't have any other questions. Does anybody else have other questions?
Well, it did. And I know there's Event, hold on.
All right. I move we to adjourn. Okay, I have a motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor? Aye. All right. We are adjourned at 7:43 p.m.